Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, November 12th, 2020. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college football games, look ahead to tonight's game in the Mountain West Conference. Thursday Night Football, we'll preview and predict tonight's AFC South showdown between the Colts and the Titans. My Mba Mock Draft, my fourth one, with it being less than a week away. The Masked Singer, we'll recap last night's episode, and my best bet for today. All right, college football. 3 games last night. One wild game, which is a game I want to start with today on the show. And that was Western Michigan coming back to defeat Toledo 41-38 as Western Michigan goes to 2-0. Toledo's 1-1. So, with 9:08 left in the fourth quarter, Western pulls in within 3. Then 2:54 left. You think Toledo put the game away. They go up by 10. And then Western marches down the field, scores a touchdown. They miss the extra point. They recover the onside kick. The quarterback, Caleb Ellaby, does the Dan Marino fake to Jalen Hall for the go-ahead score, and they win 41-38. It's an incredible finish to a Maction game, and that had Twitter going absolutely nuts last night. Ohio over Akron, that was Tuesday. Ball State over Eastern Michigan, 38-31. This was another good game. Ball State 1-1, Eastern Michigan 0-2, so I win my best bet. And Central Michigan over Northern Illinois, 40-10. Central's 2-0, Northern Illinois is 0-2. Like I said, one game tonight, 8 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, Colorado State against Boise State. And Boise State looks like they're favored by 14 points over Colorado State. 13.5 on FanDuel. Total is 61.5. My projections for this game, Boise by 5, total 62. The totals I always pretty much nail. It's just the sides, for whatever reason, in these conference games of the teams that are back after the COVID hiatus. I'm going to take Colorado State getting the points. Colorado State showed me something a little bit over these past couple weeks. So I'm going to take Colorado State to cover, but obviously not to win because Boise's very good, and I just think that number's very big. I could see them backdooring and losing by 13. Like, Boise's up by 20. Colorado State gets the garbage time touchdown. And Boise State wins the game by a score of 40-27 or something like that. So, give me Colorado State plus the 13.5 against Boise State for my pick for that game. And now we'll preview tonight's game between the Colts and the Titans. It's a huge division game. First place on the line. Tennessee's home. And tonight they are a 1-point home underdog to Indianapolis. That line surprises me a lot. I project Tennessee by 4, total 48. I can't believe my line came out to be that. I really need to do like another check. Maybe I meant Indy by 4. Let's see here. Okay, update. I was wrong. Indy should be plus 2, total 48. I don't know where -4 Titans came from. I must have done the math wrong here. And a total 48.5. Oh my goodness, I'm like stuck here. I really don't want to lay the 1 with the Colts. I just don't. And I don't want to take the under either. But I have no choice. So I'm going to lay the 1 with the Colts, and I absolutely hate this pick. This is probably my least favorite pick in a long time. Although I hated taking the Jets on Monday Night Football as the pick for Monday Night Football, but it worked out. And the Jets are much worse than the Colts. I get it, but this really makes me nervous. Phillip Rivers in a night game on the road. He's not the same quarterback as he was with the Chargers. Tennessee's a good offensive team. The Colts defense is actually okay. Darius Leonard's back. So, I'm going to lay the 1 with the Colts. I don't like it at all. Everyone and their brother is going to be on Tennessee. So, my numbers have, the slimmest of edges, a 1-point edge on the Colts and a half-point edge on the under. So, if anything, I might do an alternate spread and do, Indy plus points as, an alternate spread, if anything. But real lines, I'm going to go with the Colts minus the point at the Titans, and I don't really like this pick at all. Now I'm going to do my NBA mock draft. This is my 4th one. The draft is in 6 days from now. I'm going to do one today, do one tomorrow, one Monday, one Tuesday, and then the final one on Wednesday. So without further ado, here we go. A lot of changes at the top. Number 1, Minnesota Timberwolves, LaMelo Ball, point guard. Minnesota is looking more and more likely that they're going to take LaMelo Ball and just have him and D'Angelo Russell be their backcourt. And then Karl Anthony Towns is the big man. Ball's the number 1 prospect according to ESPN. He's not my number 1 prospect personally. I would put Ball as my number 3 prospect. But I could see why Minnesota would take LaMelo here with the first pick. And plus, that gives them a lot of market fare and attention because of Lamar and all that jazz. Number 2, the Golden State Warriors. James Wiseman, center, USA. I still don't think that Golden State's going to keep this pick. I'd be surprised if they did. But let's say they keep the pick. They really like James Wiseman. And Wiseman is somebody that can stretch the floor and can shoot. And the guy that the Warriors would need. If they take him, do they trade Draymond Green? Number 3, the Charlotte Hornets. Anthony Edwards, shooting guard, Georgia. The guy who I think is the best player in the draft falling to the Hornets at 3 is an absolute win. This might cause fit issues here. So if I'm Charlotte, maybe I move up the 2 to get Wiseman. And then Golden State trades out of the pick, and maybe Golden State can get Miles Bridges on the number 3 pick, and then they could flip the number 3 pick into something else. But Edwards is interesting. He's a pure scorer. And I think that he could help somebody and could be an all-star someday. Number 4, the Chicago Bulls. Denny Avdija, small forward, Israel. This would be a really good pick for the Chicago Bulls. Avdija, many people have compared him to Luka Doncic and Ben Simmons, but I think that he's a lesser version of those guys. I would compare him more to Doncic than to Simmons, but this guy has tremendous potential. Number 5, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obi Toppin, power forward, Dayton. This pick would cause a lot of fit issues too, as I mentioned with Anthony Edwards, with Charlotte and James Wiseman with Golden State, and even LaMelo Ball, Minnesota. And Toppin, to me, I think will succeed and has a really high floor. He's somebody that was obviously the player of the year in college. And if they take him, what does this mean for Kevin Love? Number 6, Atlanta Hawks. Tyrese Haliburton, point guard, Iowa State. Haliburton, I think, is a really good player. He's someone that season got ruined due to injury last year. And this would be an odd fit, too, because who's in Atlanta? Trae Young. Do they move him to the 2 guard or have Haliburton come off the bench? Or do they trade the pick, which seems very realistic? Number 7, the Detroit Pistons. Patrick Williams, power forward, Florida State. Patrick Williams, I don't think is worth the number 7 pick in the draft. It fits a need for the Pistons. Number 8, the New York Knicks. Isaac Okoro, small forward, Auburn. This would be an interesting pick. This would me say that they think that R.J. Barrett is a shooting guard, which that's the position I think he could very well be in the future, but part of me thinks that he could be a point forward a la Ben Simmons, but not as good as Ben Simmons, obviously. And Okoro, I had a good year last year. I had him slated at the 6th spot to Atlanta last time. But Okoro, I don't think is worth the number 8 pick either. I think him on the Phoenix Suns or the Spurs, I think would be a great fit. Or even one spot lower to the Wizards, I think realistically could be a landing spot. Number 9, the Washington Wizards. Onyeka Okongwu, power forward center, USC. This would be a tremendous fit. He's versatile. You could play him up front with Thomas Bryant. And Okongwu, I think, is someone that should be in like that 4, 5, 6 range. And I think that the Knicks and the Pistons would regret passing up on Okongwu. Number 10, the Phoenix Suns. Killian Hayes, point guard, France. This is an upside play here for the Suns. He would come off the bench initially, it looks like in this scenario. And then Ricky Rubio moves on and he could start. Number 11, the San Antonio Spurs. Devin Vassell, shooting guard, spot forward, Florida State. Very solid wing player in college. In the Spurs situation, he probably would come off the bench because DeMar DeRozan starts at the 2 guard. And they have some depth at small forward as well. Number 12, the Sacramento Kings. Aaron Naismith, small forward, Vanderbilt. I'm not the biggest Naismith fan. In this Kings scenario, he'd be coming off the bench as Harrison Barnes is their small forward. I think he'd be a better fit for New Orleans, quite frankly, at number 13. And now this gets interesting. I have them taking Kira Lewis Jr., the point guard out of Alabama. Lewis, I think, is somebody that also is a high floor, low ceiling kind of player. Obviously, Drew Holiday is the big name in trade rumors right now. And Lewis, if they trade Holiday, would make a lot of sense here. Number 14, the Boston Celtics from the Memphis Grizzlies. Sadiq Bey, small power forward, Villanova. I think Bey should be higher than this. I think he'd be a great fit on the Phoenix Suns or the Kings or the Pelicans. But I think Bey, if he doesn't go in the top 12 or 13, I think it's a steal for somebody. This guy, I think, has a chance to be a really good player in the league, good starting player. And he'd be a good swing guy for the Boston Celtics in my mind. Number 16, the Orlando Magic, Tyrese Maxey, shooting guard, Kentucky. Maxey feels a need for the Magic here. They need that scoring player. But Maxey, to me, has not really reached his potential yet with Kentucky, or hadn't. So it'd be interesting to see if he makes a jump in the pros. 16, the Portland Trailblazers, Precious Achiuwa, power forward, Memphis. Achiuwa is a really good player. He took advantage of the situation after James Wiseman left and put up some good numbers. Number 17, the Minnesota Timberwolves from the Brooklyn Nets. Aleksej Pokusevski, power forward center, Serbia. Draft and stash prospect for the Timberwolves. Somebody that can get rebounds for you. 18, the Dallas Mavericks. R.J. Hampton, shooting guard, New Zealand. This is another upside play. And he's somebody that had star potential, but his stock has really, really dropped. 19, the Brooklyn Nets from the Philadelphia 76ers. Josh Green, shooting guard, Arizona. Good heat check guy off the bench. I think he'd help the Nets next year, really. 20, the Miami Dolphins, or the Miami Heat, my bad. Cole Anthony, point guard, North Carolina. Anthony is somebody that really, also like R.J. Hampton, high ceiling that really people thought had a chance to be a top 5 pick. He drops all the way to the back end of the first round, and I think that somebody could be getting a steal with Anthony, who was injured a lot of last year. 21, the Philadelphia 76ers from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tyrell Terry, point guard, Stanford. This would be a good fit for Philly. Terry, I think, is somebody that has a low ceiling but a high floor. Number 22, the Denver Nuggets from the Houston Rockets. Desmond Bane, shooting guard, TCU. This could be another heat check guy for a contender, too. I really like Bane. Number 23, the Utah Jazz. Malachi Flynn, point guard, San Diego State. I really like Malachi Flynn. He really helped San Diego State get to greater heights while he was there, or heights that that program really hasn't seen. Number 24, the Milwaukee Bucks from the Indiana Pacers. Jalen Smith, power forward, center, Maryland. Very good, versatile big man. Would be a good fit on the Bucks, either in a starting role or coming off the bench. Number 25, the Oklahoma City Thunder from the Denver Nuggets. Tyler Bray, power forward, Colorado. Bray, I think, is someone that could sneak it at the back end of the first round. There could be a second-round steal for somebody. I think would be a good minutes guy. Number 26, the Boston Celtics. Leonardo Bolmaro, shooting guard, small forward, Italy. Another draft and stash prospect. Heat check guy. Could be Leonardo Barbosa light. 27, the New York Knicks from the Los Angeles Clippers. Isaiah Stewart, center, Washington. The hot rumor lately regarding the Knicks is that they love Isaiah Stewart. This would be a good upside play for them. Does he start for them or come off the bench? Obviously, Mitchell Robinson, their current starting center, really has not improved from year one. Did not improve from year one to year two and gets in foul trouble all the time. Maybe they trade him. Number 28, the Los Angeles Lakers. Trey Jones, point guard, Duke. Trey Jones did show capabilities in college. They could use a point guard if they lose Rajon Rondo. Number 29, the Toronto Raptors. Jaden McDaniels, small forward, Washington. This is another upside play for the Raptors. In this scenario, maybe he starts for them, or even off the bench. Could be feast or famine with McDaniels, and I think Nick Nurse would really get a lot out of him. And number 30, the Boston Celtics from the Milwaukee Bucks. Zeke Naji, center, Arizona. I said a couple days ago to Naji reminds me a lot of Montrezl Harrell. Just an energy guy off the bench that can get rebounds and shoot a little bit in the paint. And a little bit of outside the paint as well. So there you have it, my fourth mock draft. And obviously I'm going to do another one tomorrow. Now I'm going to recap last night's episode of The Masked Singer. It was a really fun episode. 3 contestants went, and there was a SmackDown 2 for the bottom 2, which made it a little bit more interesting. First up was The Sun, and oh, by the way, guest panelist was Niecy Nash, and they had a group performance to Raise Your Glass by Pink, and it was pretty good, and The Sun really kicked butt, if you ask me. One of the clues in the package was Honey, Take the Wheel. Obviously, we know the song Jesus Takes the Wheel, Carrie Underwood. But I personally think Carrie Underwood is another character on the show. There's a sign that said, Welcome to Baltimore. Was this somebody that was a part of Hairspray? Alaska. Was this somebody from Alaska? And then the friend that was talking with the son was a guy in plaid, and it looked like he was a country guy because he was wearing plaid. And then there was a Mexico hint. Somebody involved with Mexico somehow. And then the son performed Piece of My Heart by Janis Joplin. She was very good. And then the special clue of the week was The Game Changer. And then there was gold. And then one single certified gold was one of the hints. I really thought a couple weeks ago, from a vocal standpoint, that I thought this was Christina Aguilera. And obviously she's a platinum singer. But maybe one of her singles was gold. And then the rest of them are like platinum and diamonds. Because Christina Aguilera is such a big star. I personally think this is like a mega super duper star. And I'm going to stick with Christina Aguilera. Because there's that Disney hint in the first episode. Then it just feels like her mannerisms too under the mask. Ken Jeong went with Catherine McPhee. Kat is obviously somebody that can sing. She was the runner-up on American Idol to Taylor Hicks. She should have been the runner-up to Chris Daughtry, quite frankly. And then Niecy's guess was JoJo, and then Jewel. Those are two singers that haven't been heard from in a long time, so they would make sense. And then Jenny McCarthy is going with someone who's friends with Christina Aguilera, and that is Demi Lovato. The Snow Owls, they hinted at over 20 years. There is Cowboy, which hints to country. There's a plane. And then there's a big, major hint of Roy Rogers. And it was a drink of Roy Rogers, and obviously Roy Rogers, big country singer. And this duo performed a duet to The Prayer by Andrea Bockley and Celine Dion. And the game-changing hint was Kissing. So this obviously made everybody think that this was either a real-life couple or a couple from a movie. Niecy threw out an interesting guess of Brad Paisley and Kimberly Williams because there are so many country hints. And obviously Kimberly Williams is an actress. She played Annie Banks McKenzie in Father of the Bride and Father of the Bride Part 2. So that would have been an interesting pair. And I went with that as well. Robin Thicke went with Amy Grant and Vince Young, and Kenny Jeong went with Danny DeVito and Ray Feldman. Last up was popcorn. There was a Russian hint. There were bunny ears. There was a deer, a rock. Maybe that hints to rock singing. And then the friend of popcorn hinted that they've been on the show. And this contestant said Domino by Jessie J. And the game-changing hint, which really gave it away for me, one of the judges guessed her correctly earlier in the season. And my guess for the popcorn is none other than the legendary Tina Turner. Tina Turner, that sounded like Tina Turner singing Domino yesterday. I was getting Proud Mary and River Deep Mountain High vibes. Jenny McCarthy went with Taylor Dane. Niecy Nash went with Cyndi Lauper. And Ken Jeong went with Anita Baker. And the other reason why I think it's Tina Turner is because one of her good friends, if I'm not mistaken, is one Gladys Knight, who was obviously the Bee in season 1. And so Gladys Knight could very well be the friend that's been there. Or is it Chaka Khan? Or is it Dionne Warwick? Or is it Patti LaBelle? So it's obviously one of those 4 stars that were on this show in one of the previous seasons. And I do think that the popcorn is Tina Turner. And this is the one I feel the best about. Then came the SmackDown. It was the Snow Owls versus the popcorn. The Snow Owls went first, and they performed Because You Love Me by Celine Dion. And then Popcorn went, and then she performed Everything I Do It For You by Bryan Adams. And then again, she sounded like one Tina Turner. And then the male Snow Owl actually had the country twang to him when performing Because You Loved Me. And then I decided to go with Brad Paisley and Kimberly Williams, and then I kept my guess of Tina Turner after the showdown for the popcorn. And who went home? The Snow Owls. My first impression guess was Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens from High School Musical, but as they performed after the first week, they sounded more mature and more seasoned than those two. And then I decided to go with Brad Paisley and Kimberly Williams because I was getting the country vibe from the male and then actress vibe from the female. Robin Thicke's first impression guest was Amy Grant and Vance Gill, and he kept it for his final. Jenny's first impression was Marie McCormick and Barry Williams. Her final guest was Amy Grant and Vince Gill. She partnered up with Robin. Ken Jeong's first impression guest was Derek and Julianne Howe, which was funny. But his final guest was Danny DeVito and Ray Feldman. And by the way, I could totally see Danny DeVito doing this. Nicole Scherzinger's first impression guest was Donnie and Marie Osmond. No chance a Masked Singer contestant or next Masked Singer contestant would do it again. But maybe the Masked Dancer. That wouldn't surprise me. We'll obviously get into that on the podcast another day. And then her final guest was Clint Flack and Lisa Hartman. And then Niecy Nash's final guest was Harry Hamlin and Lisa Remmen. And who was it? Clint Flack and Lisa Hartman. Nicole Scherzinger was correct. She had a bounce back week after missing on Bob Saget. So good for her. And she gets one correct for, I believe, the second time this season. I believe she was right on Busta Rhymes from week 1 with Robin. So all the judges have been correct on one of their guesses so far this year. Obviously, Ken and Jenny and Robin got Bob Saget. Nicole got this one correct. So, Clint Flack and Lisa Hartman, lovebirds. They shared a kiss after being unmasked, and then they performed. And obviously, Clint Flack did a song with Roy Rogers, which was a big, big, big hit. And then 20 years. So, obviously, these two have been together for over 20 years. And then there was haven't seen each other in a while hint. What I think they meant is that nobody has seen them in public in a while, obviously due to COVID-19. Or maybe longer than that, just in general. So, fun episode. And then next week, if I'm not mistaken, is the Group B final, which features a loaded group. The Serpent, the Crocodile, the whatchamacallit, and the Seahorse. So that is a loaded foursome. So I wonder if they're unmasking too. So I wonder if they're going to do SmackDown, and then eliminate the losers. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do next week on the show because there's 4 contestants. Alrighty. Best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. Obviously, we didn't get to the Masters because it's in a rain out. So, go right the best bet. I'm going to take Colorado State. I don't like the pick at all. They're getting 13.5. I just think that they hang around in this game with Boise, and they backdoor them late. So, give me Colorado State plus the 13.5. So, there you have it. That's it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow. Big show tomorrow, obviously, recapping college football and NFL, all the picks for you. Another NBA mock draft. I might do Major League Baseball off-season predictions because free agency's underway, and the only signing that there really was Robbie Wright of the Blue Jays. So maybe we'll do a little bit of off-season predictions for every team, and then some miscellaneouses as well. So I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.